Hello, precious people. I'm Jacqueline Parks. Welcome to my channel, Stampin' Turtles. And today we are going to be doing some really expressive and loose flowers. And I can hear me, so that's good. Good news, good news. Let's make sure we can see everything we're doing too. So I can see me, I can see the chat. If you're just now joining me for the first time, I am a watercolor artist, but I wasn't always a watercolor artist. I started with acrylics, did large abstracts, and when I had kids, I kind of transitioned to doing a stamping thing. Hey Janice, love you girl. Thanks for joining. Um, I'm just talking a little bit about my background. Like, I am a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for close to 20 years. So 19 years, I think. This September probably is when I first joined. Did it for about a year before joining. So about 20 years I've been a stamper. I have thousands of stamp sets, thousands. And so for me, doing what I'm going to show you today is um, a little thing that I think would help if you're not really good at drawing. So I think I will show you what I have on my desk right now, just so you know what I'm kind of talking about. So this is a stamp. I do have a block, not so large. I actually ordered another block that's a bigger block, so hopefully I can get that soon, hopefully soon. But this is just a rubber stamp. Basically, they come clear now with clear blocks, so you can actually see where you're stamping. And I can position this a little differently, maybe. I don't know. I think I liked how it was. So you can put it on here, your stamp, and then that's how you're going to ink it and stamp it. We're going to show you, me and my stamp are going to show you how easy it is to get something like this onto paper so you can start coloring with your watercolors. But I've been watercoloring since 2020. My sister encouraged me to paint something for her, which was a mermaid, and I had not really been a watercolor artist at all. I tried it in my 20s, didn't like it, and so I ended up giving up on the watercolor. That was not for me. But then 2020, and so I ended up doing some little test things, watching a couple tutorials on YouTube, which I love YouTube. If you are just experiencing the beauty of YouTube, is that you can watch a video from 10 years ago, and that's going to keep encouraging artists for 10 more years or whatever. So you can go on there, search watercolor tutorials. I'm probably not the best at doing a watercolor tutorial, but I am doing it live so you can watch in real time. I'm not fudging on how long it takes. So we're going to be doing a quick bouquet of flowers, which will be quick. We're not trying to make a illustrated diagram of a flower for a textbook. We're just trying to make something fun and free and expressive, and we're going to enjoy the process of creating. We're not here to judge our creation. We're here to just have fun. But if you don't have a stamp, I'm going to show you how to draw it as well, but we're going to do it a couple different ways just so you can see. So this is my stamp. I'm going to just get right to it. I have StazOn Jet Black. This will be waterproof, and sometimes it has a little protective thingy just to keep it from doing it. Now it will stain your stamp. It will make your stamps look. Sometimes I flip that over. Sometimes it's easier to. And sometimes I re-ink these with a re-inker. It's just a little bottle of ink. Right now, I'm just going to press it super hard. And I can see it's finally getting some ink on there. So I'm gonna put that kind of in the middle. And it's kind of pale. It didn't do super great on watercolor paper because watercolor paper is textured, but it's going to be good enough, right? It's going to be good enough because we're not here to make things perfect. We're here to make things fun. So now I'm going to close that so it doesn't dry out. What I stamped on was not my desk either. I have this foam that Stampin' Up! Also sells. I am a demonstrator. If you want to buy any of this stuff, just go to my website, stampinturtles.com. There's a link to my Stampin' Up! Demonstrator page. You can order anything. Frankly, you know, I've had tons of these. They are great so that you don't get that wood texture if you're stamping on your desk. You don't want to have that. So we're just going to do this. Now, if you are drawing with me instead of stamping, you can get a sheet of paper out, and I'm going to show you real quick with a pencil. If I can find my pencil, I just had one. Let me see, and I just sharpened it too, so it's nice and ready to be done. And I don't need this foamy thing to draw. I'm going to put that off to the side. So here's what I'm going to suggest you guys do. Seriously. We're just going to make a nice little rectangle shape. Like literally just the bottom of that rectangle. We're going to make a squiggly there, a squiggly there, another squiggly, 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 and maybe one more squiggly. How many flowers do we want on this? We can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You want probably an odd number. It looks better. So there, I've got some circles. Whoops, the light's not showing that. See, this is a drawing. Portrait or landscape? I think portrait's gonna be better. This one's almost square. I think this one is portrait now. Whatever your reference photo is. Let me show you what we did. This is what I did. So the one on the right is the one that I painted before class. The one on the left is the one I painted during class yesterday. And I feel like they're sisters, but they're not identical twins. They're very similar in color scheme. They're very similar in placement of flowers, but they're not identical because we're not trying to be printing machines. We are artists. We express ourselves differently each day. So sometimes we're in the mood to paint real tight and sometimes it's real loose, but this is going to be loosey goosey. So if you want to kind of look at these and somewhat mimic where the flowers are, but again, both are different. I just kind of put those little squiggly circles for flowers. They're just the placement of flowers. They're not meant to be perfect flowers. This is a stamp with flowers, right? And this is our drawing. I can't wait to see Janice's. Oh my gosh, you guys. Janice is amazing. I love all her art. You need to go follow her. I don't think she has YouTube, but she has the Tiki Talkie, and she has, everybody has Facebook, so you can go check her out, y'all. J-Clo. She's amazing. I don't know where to put any of my stuff. I feel like I have too much right here, but I will put this, I'm going to put this below me just so I can grab it and show you what I mix. I do have somewhat clean water, Licky, somewhat clean. You can see the bottom, see through the bottom. Also, I'm drinking my tea. I'm having Earl Grey black tea. And this is by Twinings. Twinings? I don't know how to say that. I think it's Twinings. But This says brighten up your day with the distinctive taste and aroma of this classic tea. It is pretty classic. I think Earl Grey is a classic tea. I'm gonna set it to the left because I will dip it, my brushes, in my water on the right, and we don't want to dip it in my tea. I'm gonna use my tried and true large brush. I think this is a size 12 round. Use a 10, use, the largest that is comfortable for you. And I'm just going to basically tell you guys exactly how I did class yesterday. So I'm getting my brush all nice and wet. I actually put a drop of water in each of my colors because we're going to use all these colors probably. And even if we don't, it's good to get them rehydrated. We don't want them to be dying in this heat. Although it hasn't been too cold, y'all. My AC hasn't even really kicked on much, which I'm surprised. So it must be getting cooler. I'm gonna be sad. Who's sad to see summer leave? I am very sad. Janice gave me some hearts. Of course. I love you, girl. All right. We are going to let that sit for like 10 seconds or so. It's kind of got some water in there. I like this light lemon yellow. If you don't have a light lemon yellow, just try, cadmium yellow, whatever yellow comes in your kit, okay? I'm loading up that brush. You can see a lot of paint on there. So, what I want to show you first is in the stamped one, okay? So you can see what I'm doing. I am going to fill the whole flower with the yellow. Not both of them, just this one. Because we're going to have a purple flower and we're going to have a yellow flower. So see how I just filled that in? Like no shading. Okay, no shading. Going to do the same thing with that yellow. I re-dipped. Now I'm not even sure where my yellow flowers are going to be. Let's just kind of randomly pick some. Maybe this one will be yellow. Maybe this one will be yellow. Maybe this little one will be yellow. Do I want any other yellow ones in here? Or do I want those ones to be purple? I don't know. Maybe I'll make those 4 be purple, okay? So we got yellow and we got to clean our brush now. Clean, clean, clean. Now I'm going to look at my purples over here. I have 2 purples. Sometimes I just mix them together. I don't know. It's kind of fun. Kind of fun. So now I'm going to do this flower in the purple colors, okay? Maybe leave the center for a different color. But again, that's just a stamp. We're not trying to recreate it. We're just doing whatever. And these are just little blobs. Blop. And see how I'm not trying to be perfect with that? I'm just dabbing it here and there. There. Like so far, nothing fancy, right? Now I'm going to rinse my brush. And another thing I'm going to do is use my reddish orange maybe. Maybe I'll mix light orange, dark orange, red orange. Maybe I'll mix them all 3 together. I just make a mess of my palette. Now, if you're not comfortable making little dots with a large brush like this, because the point is very small, so I'm going to be good with being able to control it. But if you need a smaller brush, by all means, use a smaller one. All right, so now I'm going to put a little dot in my yellow flower because it's still wet, so it's kind of bleeding out a little bit there. I'm going to put a little red dot of the orange inside each of my yellows, wherever I think the centers might be. So I just did that real quick. now I'm gonna do these like, let me show you my inspiration piece, which is my own art. So I kind of like those tall flowers. I don't know if they're gladiolas. I have no idea what type of flower. We're just liking that it's a different shape. So we're gonna go with that little shape up here. And I'm just adding these little dots going down. And as I get towards the bottom, I'm making it larger. But don't go all the way. Don't go all the way. Let me see if I have an up close and personal. You know what? We're all already close up. Sorry. Sorry, already close. I'm going to do 2 of them. And see how I just did that? They're kind of 2 little guys sticking out there. And then in this picture, I think I did one more over here to the right. So let's do that. Let's do one that's kind of sticking up a little bit here. Just like that. And so all I've done is added that orange center in here. And it's kind of blending with that yellow, which is nice. Same with these. We added a little dot inside each one. And it is kind of blending out a little bit. But what I told my class yesterday, and this is something that we all need to remember, is that there's that ugly stage in the middle of our paintings that we are like, well, what are we doing? This doesn't even look like a painting. But what I want to show you guys, we're going to do the vase next. So I kind of like a blue color. And I'm going to mix it. Let me show you what I'm going to mix. I'm going to mix this kind of, there's so many different blues in here. You can do any kind of blues you want. I'm going to put a little green blue in there. A little green blue. Keep dabbing in there. Get lots in there. Look at that color. I like that. So I'm going to use that color. And I could go a size smaller, but I'm pretty confident with using this brush. So I'm going to use this brush. But I want it to make these streaks right here. Let me just show you the reference photo again. So real quick, I'm going to use kind of the side of my brush like that. Like that. Maybe a little bit on the bottom. Again, we're just trying to create a reflection or that glass. And you'll get better as you practice. So that's pretty strong. I'm going to rinse my brush, kind of tap off water, not dry it on a paper towel, but I'm going to just wet and wet and wet. You can leave some white if you like, but that's the basics of doing the glass. Okay? So super easy. You can change the colors if you don't like them, but we're going to add some greens in a little bit. So right now I've rinsed my brush again. So no paint on my brush. We're going to figure out where to make some green. I think in this section. We're going to dab in our green and we're going to make it over here. I know there's some purples in there already. It's not the end of the world. I mix everything together. So that's kind of a darker green. If I want a lighter green, add some yellow, that lemon yellow in there. Look at that. You can keep adding some lemon yellow. That lightens your green. See that pretty greenery? So now we're going to look at my inspo again. Look at that. All the green is dark in this, right? So you're like, why are we using a yellow green? Because we got to start with a very light color. And I'm just going to fill in all these leaves over here, the stem. and I'm not trying to stay in the lines. We're just going real quick. Now we're going to go over here and I'm going to show you guys just how easy it is to put your greenery in here, okay? And there's not one way of approaching a painting. There's many, many ways to do this, but I like doing it this way. So now it's gone down into our glass, and I can actually make some little spriggies coming out here and there already if I want. And we don't have to do them yet, but it's just kind of fun to kind of think about where we're going to put them, right? So that is, see the inspiration piece and this piece. I may even put some of that green down in here. We'll see. Also, I didn't make a vase on this. I probably should have did the same little vase here, but maybe I'm going to do a different shape. We'll do that shape. So I'm just going to add some greenery in there. And that same turquoise blue I had, I'm just going to do a couple little swipes. Leave some white space. Always leave white space. It's very important. Okay. So now I'm liking how this is looking. I like how that's looking. It's kind of cute. Kind of cute. Let's see. What am I going to do next? Because you got to let things dry. If you don't let things dry, then you can get muddy stuff going on. In fact, I kind of see my yellow flowers got some green on top of it. So does this one. So I'm going to get a smaller brush just to get some precision. Dry it. I'm going to lift just to get my yellow back. So I'm going to dry it and lift. And dry it and lift. So that brought some of that back. Same with the purple. I feel like the green is just pouring right into all that. Probably because it was still wet. But that's okay. Sometimes you do this and it looks better. Hey, Lindaval, thanks for joining us. I'm painting some loose flowers. I don't know if you saw the inspiration pieces I painted earlier. The one on the right was from before my class. And the one on the left was during my class. So a lot of times I am busy walking around. I have to paint kind of upside down or holding it up in the air. I paint. So sometimes it's a little crazy. But I think they turned out pretty similar, almost like they're twins or not twins, they're sisters, but not twins. Linda has been my stamping buddy for as long as I've been stamping, I think, right? I think it's been about 20 years we've known each other. So pretty amazing. She's a great friend. So now I'm letting this kind of dry. Let me just hit it with the heat tool. I just hit it for like 10 seconds. So nothing too drastic. We're just trying to get that from being too wet because it was bleeding all over the place there. All right. Another thing I forgot to draw in this picture was the table. So sometimes I just put that line in there. I'll put one in here. It just grounds everything. Yes, she said 20 years. It's amazing. So now while I'm waiting for some other stuff to dry, let's look at the table. Sometimes it's fun to just do a very loose background. In these, I have just the white for the background, but the table, I use Payne's Gray. So you see how it's kind of just thrown in there. It's just kind of very blobby. It doesn't look like I spent a lot of time. That's because I didn't. I just kind of threw it on there and let it dry however it was going to dry. So we're going to do that now. I do have my Payne's Gray all ready to go. Now you could wet this before going. Sometimes I just go wet on dry and see what happens. And then I'm just gonna wet my brush. We'll clean it a little bit, wet it, and then just add some clean water around. So it's gonna add some kind of blooms in there and see what it does. So it will still react and do things. It's not gonna stay that way. It's gonna keep drying. So now I just rinsed and dried my brush. Put you over there. Oh, I got a little dot. That's okay. Sometimes we like them little dots. Now same over here. But let's try that wet and wet technique. What you can do is just wet the whole bottom. Clean water. Dab it in your Payne's Gray and then let it flow where you just put the water. And that can be really cool to watch as well. So 2 different ways. I didn't wet, I did wet. And you can add some extra Payne's Gray right there. I can add a little extra Payne's Gray in here. That might be kind of fun. And then as it flows to different areas, it will do what it does. It will do what it does, right? Which is watercolor. That's why we're not in control of the watercolor so much as you do watercolor on a regular basis. You learn what it does. Then you can predict what it's going to do when you do something. It's a really good tea today. All right, now I'm going to go smaller brush maybe. And I'm going to redo this this green. I already have some dark colors in here. I might just mix into my green and see how that looks. And I'm going underneath my flowers because that's where the shadows are. And you can be really careful or you can be kind of loose like this. And just kind of fling your colors wherever. So I just put a second layer in there. I'm going to do it on this little one. So maybe I want it to be darker down in here. Darker on the bottom half of these leaves. And of course on the stem. And then that looks really good. You can add even more into that green and make it darker and darker. I use a lot of red in my green to make it darker. But see, this is really wet now, and so it's not really doing much. So I'm gonna have to let it dry. And then we can look at our inspiration piece, see how it's coming along. It is coming along. The one on the right hopefully will look like one of these. The one on the left is going to have a whole different look because it was stamped. And there are not as many flowers in it, but it is still pretty. I'm going to put a yellow center, I think, on my purple flower. That looks nice. I can add some yellow right on top and see if that adds anything. Put some yellow down in there and around the bottom. And see, we're just putting little splashes of color wherever we want. Another thing I taught everyone how to do yesterday was the splatters. I love splattering. And I do have quite a bit of green just already in there. Load up a small brush. Don't do your large brush for this. Just a lot of water. See what I'm doing? A lot of water. And watch what I do. I just kind of tap, 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 tap. Tap all over. Tap tap over here too. Why not? Tap, tap. And let's say you're like, oh, it's everywhere. I don't like it. Dry your brush. You can still lift up where you don't want it. You can lift if you don't want it all over here. Dry. And I just lifted up a few that were off too close to the edge. There's some over here too. And get those up. So basically, I just added some green little splatters, and that's just kind of fun. You can also do that with maybe this lighter orange color. Just make sure you got lots of water and paint mixed together. Get it on your brush, and you can just, and I like kind of the added orange on there. That's kind of pretty. So now I've got some splatters, and I like them. Like in my vase, I might not fiddle with that too much in the table, but I do need to bring out these greens. There's a lot of light green still left in there. Let's mix it up some more, okay? We need to mix up a green. So if you can see my green right here, I'm gonna mix it in here. This is sap green. So get enough green that you don't have to keep mixing more. I like adding a little bit of red to this to make it darker. I also like adding a little bit of Payne's Gray to make it darker. So this is my Payne's Gray. I'm going to dip it in there. Look how dark it made it. Like that. And now I can use just that and start adding in here, and it's still wet on my paper. It's still wet, so it's still kind of flowing. And I'm making different little leaf shapes. You can do any shape you want. Go around your little flowers. Also some right under here. Remember, you're making these shadows in a way. So you're not painting leaf shapes, you're just making the shadows. And for me, I don't even know exactly what kind of shadows I'm making, but we're gonna just have fun. That's like a twiggy little branch. Maybe I want a little branches here with like little tiny leaves. And we're going around them flowers. Look at how I'm going around them. And I can tell where they are because I put some pencil line, and I can still see a little bit of pencil line. And look at how I'm just going to flick some of these little guys out. Flick them up there. Might add just a little bit under here for fun because it's darker. Down here is still really wet. I might just stop because you can fiddle with something, and if it's still really wet while you're painting on top of it, it's not going to do anything. So I'm liking how that's looking. Let's see if we can do anything fun to this one. So I have this darker green. I might just add it right in there. And a little bit here, just a little bit there. And a little bit on this. And this one's a little more stylized, right? Because it is already painted, stamped. And I may add just a little weird stuff like that, because you don't know where these little stems are. That could be just crisscrossing in there. We're not sure. But I did that. And I've noticed that my flowers look kind of too flat for me. So I'm going to add a little bit of this magenta color, and I'm just going to do it here and there on some of these petals. So I'm not trying to make it the whole thing, just here and there. Rinse. And now I'm going to do a lighter orange color. Well, you know what? That might be too dark. Let's try this yellow, which is yellow ochre. Let's see what happens when I put a little bit of yellow ochre in there. And I'm just trying to figure out where a shadow might go. So you might do that and it will be fabulous, or you might do that and you'll be like, not really doing it for me. But I'm gonna just tap a little bit and let the water that's on my brush kind of flow and make these less drastic. There we go. Less poking out. Stark, whatever the word is. I like to soften my edges. That's fine how it looks. It looks like a cute little something that you would put on a card. Little card front. I may still fiddle with this, you know. I gotta fiddle a little bit. This one, I'm feeling the same thing with these flowers. Like they're still really flat. So let's see about that yellow ochre that I just used on that flower. And I'm just going to make the bottom parts of these flowers have a little bit more of a dark side or whatever. A little bit more, right? But we're not trying to paint every petal. Now we'll do that with the purple. Maybe I'll use this purple. And you can even make the centers a little more dark. You'll get really good at this if you practice. So just because I'm good at it doesn't mean it happened on day one. I do remember having to struggle to figure out how to do these things. And it took time and practicing to make it a little bit better. There we go. I kind of like that. Might even put some of that darker purple in here. That sounds good. That looks good. I like that. Is that too dark now? If you go too dark, just rinse your brush, dry it, and you can lift. You got to keep drying it, and then you can lift. Then it's not so dark. Yeah, and now I'm going to go back to the green, because we did have this nice Payne's Gray green, right? I have to mix a little bit more. I'm going to put some of my alizarin crimson red in it, which is just a dark red, bluish red. All right, so now I'm going to go, is this still really wet? Let's see what happens if it's not too wet, we can go in there. And now I'm just kind of making little things that would represent leaves. Kind of want them to go down a little further, I think. Like that. Might put a little bit more up in here. And we're almost done. You can add more if you want, but like I say, you might be overworking it if you start doing that. Right? And we don't want to overwork it. And that's the thing about anything. When you're painting and you're in the zone and you want to keep painting, just switch to a new painting if it's done. You don't have to keep working on the same painting just because you want to keep painting. You can start new paintings. I do like all the splatters in there. I add some yellow splatters because I don't really have yellow. Let's see what happens. That might be too thick. If your water is, or if your splatters are not coming off, make sure you have enough water. There we go. I got a lot of splatters on that one. Can you see them? Because they're yellow. It's really hard to tell, but they're all over the place. So I kind of like that. I like how that looks. It's kind of loose and free. I like the contrast of the darks in there. If you feel like your contrasts aren't dark enough, like look at my original and then look at this one. So I could even just go straight in my Payne's Gray and just start dabbing it straight in there. And that will give me some darks, right? This one looks all kind of the samey, so I'm going to add some Payne's Gray and see how that looks. And I might even splatter some more of that yellow. And I might put some green little spriggies. That's kind of dark. Put some up there. And that's making it a little more loose, a little bit more me. Dry my brush and just get rid of too much green on that flower, probably. And I might add just a little bit of blue just for some shadows on my flowers. This is a trick I do a lot, is I add some of my aquamarine blue just here and there and see how it looks. You might be like, oh, you're ruining it. I don't know. We'll see if I am. Sometimes I do. Not on purpose, but I do it just to see. Oh, Janice is in limbo, waiting for dry time. Don't you have a little heat tool? We need to get you a heat tool. Because heat tools are awesome. And I might even add some of my aquamarine blue into this, because that is fun. And you can even do it on the leaves. You can even add some on the bottom, on the table. Like I said, I may be overworking y'all. This might be a total disaster. But I don't think so. I think it's going to look great. I think it's going to be better than my originals. Just adding a little bit of blue in there. I do kind of like some of this effects in there with the blue. I think it looks great. And we've been doing 2 of these. I know it said like 10 minutes, but probably if I was working on just one, I could do that in 10 minutes. Of course, the dry time, we're not counting dry time. Dry time takes more than 10 minutes, you know? But I think these guys look pretty well done. I did have some of my little ACEOs I was thinking I could paint. If the smaller you go, the less time it takes too. Oh, you're at work, Janice? Okay. Yeah, that's always a pain when you don't have all of the tools that you need to do that. But I do appreciate your following along. I know yours are going to turn out amazing. I can't wait to see what you've done. But I'm just drying up all these little brushes. This is all I pretty much used, was a small round and a large round and a pencil. I mean, for this I used a stamp, but you don't have to. You can do this without stamping. You can just draw little circles. They're super fun and loose. This is still really wet. I'm not gonna mess with it. I like how it looks right now. I could add some more stuff, but I think I like it. I like how this looks. It really does look similar to these guys, doesn't it? But the glass is a little more blue in this one than in the other ones. And that's probably because I didn't have the reference photos right in front of me, but that's okay. And I do like this. I like how it looks. I think it'll be one of those things that's going to be very expressive, and people are going to look at it and be like, oh, I love it, right? So now I'm going to just sign. Why not, right? Let's sign it right here. I like to put the year. I might put it right here. So JP 2026. And the good thing about signing your work is that you can actually look at it if you put the year, and over time can see how good you've gotten. Do I even have an old painting that I can show you? Oh, let's see. Oh, this is really old, but I didn't date it. I don't know. Let's see. I mean, you want to say something? Let's go back in time. Let me see. Let me see if I've got anything. Nothing dated. I tell you guys the date, and then I don't date any of my work. That's crazy. That's crazy. I don't know. Let me see. Here's something. Here's something. Okay, I found some dated stuff. Let's see. This is 2022. So this was a cotton field with a farm in the background and a pretty sky. Yeah, not too shabby, actually. This one I stamped a butterfly and did some coloring on the stamped image. And this is super fluid and loose, just had fun, but this was 2022. So really, you can get better with time. I feel like I have improved a lot since 2022. Definitely. Oh, I wanted to show you guys my class from Sunday. So this was everybody who came. We had so much fun. Beth and Faye ended up doing a different reference photo. And Beth didn't get hers finished in time for the picture, but here's Beth's after she finished. And gorgeous, just gorgeous. And of course, she is mainly an oil painter, so going from oil to watercolor is hard. But she still really likes to paint thickly. And if you look at it, you can see the paint is kind of thick on some of those places. But anyways, this is my two little paintings. I actually like the stamped one. I think it would be pretty in a frame, right? I think it would be pretty framed. I actually like both of them. I like the colors in both of these. I think they look great. I added a little bit more to this, and even with the pencil lines showing, I think that looks kind of pretty. It can be a whole style in its own, right? Letting the pencil lines kind of show under your paintings. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Did we have fun? I know sometimes I go a little fast, and if your paints aren't drying as fast as mine was actually not drying very fast. So I had to use my heat tool. If you have a hair dryer, you can use that. If you're impatient. So that's why sometimes multiple paintings are great, because you can switch between different paintings while some are drying. And I know that my daughter has one of her favorite Bible verses is about the flowers fading. Let me see if I can look that one up, because I didn't look it up ahead of time. But that's just me, because I'm not that organized. Although I started getting ready for this like an hour ahead of time instead of actually an hour and 20 minutes before I had to go live. And that's not like me. I'm normally like, oh, it's 15 minutes till 10. But that's why I started at 10 instead of 10:10 or whatever, 10:05. I do like that. Okay. So apparently Isaiah 40, verse 8 says, the grass withers, the flower fades, but the word of our God will stand forever. I have liked that verse for a while because it just reminds us that scripture will never fade away. It will always be forever and ever. And we can count on scripture to help us, guide us, and encourage us. Oh, Janice, you're done. I can't wait for you to send it to me so I can see how beautiful it is. And I still don't know which one of your paintings sold at Lupercalia. You have to remind me which one it was. Or you probably said, but I just wasn't paying attention enough, right? I need to go on our TikTok and like and comment and share and all that good stuff. Also, here's another word in scripture. And if you guys don't know this about the Bible, a lot of scripture references other scripture. So it almost like it's all connected. There's a picture of the connections that were put through a computer program that said to, make a line between each reference, and it's just a gorgeous, almost rainbow effect in a big arch of from Genesis to Revelation. It's just like this interconnected, cannot have happened through man-made things, only through the Holy Spirit. But 1 Peter 1:24-25 says, all flesh is like grass, in all its glory like the flower of grass. The grass withers and the flower falls, but the word of the Lord remains forever. So it's just reiterating what happened in Isaiah 40. And I've been reading Isaiah, and I'm telling you, some of those old prophets they're like talking about stuff that I feel like is happening now. Like we can really relate to a lot of the stuff that happened in the Bible. So I hope you guys have a blessed day. I love you guys, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And I will talk to you soon. Mwah.